What's up, guys? Another episode of Car Talk. First question was, what should I post about? So that is going to widely depend on a couple different factors. The first thing you want to do is understand who you're talking to, who your audience is, who your target market is. When you determine, when you're doing that, you don't want to just look at like, okay, what are their demographics? You know, male, female, where's their age range, where do they live, that kind of stuff. You want to look more in depth at what their interests are, what kind of problems they're facing, what kind of stuff that they're interested in, and what they're going to actually watch or consume. That will give you a really good clue as to how to format your content, how to lay it all out, and how to put it together in order to really create content that's going to resonate. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is understanding your goals with your content. Obviously, most of our goals in terms of our content relate back to the business. How is my content going to feed back into my business? How is it going to drive website clicks? How is it going to, gain me more followers? How is it going to put people on my landing page and make sales, which is obviously the end goal for most of us, right? We want to understand those things because once we understand what our goals are and what our audience wants to watch, we can start to create what's called pillars. And those pillars are going to be the basis of what we want to post, how it relates to our goals and our audience, and then that gives us areas that we can ask questions on, and then our content will answer those questions. For example, like my business revolves around social media marketing, digital marketing, small business marketing. Right? So most of my content is centered around those types of things. Marketing for small businesses, marketing strategy, digital marketing, okay? Those are subsets within a marketing pillar. Another pillar for me is personal development. It's something I currently don't have a ton of in my content, but I mix it in a little bit here and there. And that's just something that I'm super passionate about, just trying to be my best self, trying to optimize my life, trying to be as present as I can at home for my wife and my children, while also leading some form of business success. So personal growth is something that I want to talk about, and so that is a content pillar for me. Another one is Canva. Many small businesses, maybe yours does, are highly integrated with Canva. A lot of the businesses that I'm involved with are very highly integrated with Canva, mainly because I am. And I want to be able to teach certain aspects of that and present how that can help small businesses that maybe aren't as integrated or want to be more integrated. So that's another content pillar. So those are my three big ones. I do some other random stuff here and there. I'm a big sports fan, so I have a little bit of content that I'll throw in about sports. I'm obviously a parent. I don't talk too much about parenting, but I'll throw things like that in there. But not to digress too far, you want those pillars to then be able to branch off for other ideas. So those pillars, sticking with my three, the personal development, the marketing, and Canva, those three will then have subtopics within those pillars, right? Marketing had those subtopics of small business marketing, marketing strategies, digital marketing. There's another dozen there that could fit within that marketing pillar as a whole. And you can do the same thing. So once you have your main pillars, maybe stick with 3 to 5, don't go any more than that. Once you have your pillars, you can start to ask questions under those pillars. What kind of areas are going to be underneath this that I can start to cover? And then within those areas, you can ask questions that your content then will answer. So that will give you a better idea of what to post, how to post it, and where to post it. Because once you understand your buyer persona and your goals and what kind of content you're making, then you can obviously decide on which platforms to be on to. Another question on social media marketing is, should I still use hashtags? On a couple different platforms, hashtags are still good, but I wouldn't make that like a primary portion of how you strategize your content. They do still function as kind of an SEO function on platforms like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. They'll help a little bit here and there, but I wouldn't use more than maybe a dozen at the most. They're not going to be a primary driver of how your content gets found. It's more going to be keywords and information that's in the caption, as well as what's in the actual content. So what kind of stuff is in your static posts, in your carousels, in your video. Those are the types of things that the algorithms will base your content on and how it gets shown to other people. And hopefully the people that will actually be interested in it. So in terms of using hashtags, I use them sparingly. I don't use them very much just because I don't find a ton of value in it. I do recommend maybe a handful of them on those platforms that I mentioned earlier, but I wouldn't make it a primary source of how you try to gain traction on social media. Let's see if we've got any more questions here. How do I schedule content efficiently? Obviously, you want a scheduling tool, first of all. There are a couple of platforms that let you do it in a native way. YouTube lets you schedule your content within the YouTube Creator Studio. Instagram does it. I know Facebook does it. To my knowledge, those are the ones that do it. I'm sure there are some other ones. I don't look at that a ton because I have a scheduling program that I use where I can schedule everything in the same space. A couple programs or platforms that you can look at to do that. Later is a really good one. I'm a huge fan of Later. Just go to later.com. They have an influencer section and a social media content scheduling section. Go to the social media content scheduling and check that out. The other one is Metricool, Metricool. That one I really like too. The benefit that I find with that one is that with threads, you can actually post a thread. It's not just like you can schedule a thread itself, not just a singular post. There is a free version for both of these platforms and a paid version. Obviously, the paid version, you're going to get more access to more stuff. I do think that the free version of Metricool is a little bit more limited. I predominantly use Later for both my clients and the business that I run marketing for. That's personally my preferred platform. Another really good one is Buffer. Hootsuite is another one that you can schedule content through. Honestly, if you just go to, if you go to Google and type in social media scheduling tools, there's probably going to be a dozen or more that you can poke through. Those are the ones that really stand out to me. Later and Metricool are probably the two most popular at the moment. Later is the one that I would definitely recommend if you're starting out. The next question I got was, what makes a good tagline or slogan? I actually watched a little video the other day about taglines that are in 3. If you look at some of the big brands that really do have a tagline and use it a lot, they have them in 3 words. And it's because things that are grouped 3s tend to be more memorable, right? They tend to stand out a little bit more. They're easier to digest and they're very memorable. So if you're looking at a tagline, I would make it very concise, very memorable, very brand oriented. So you want it to connect exactly what you're doing, exactly what your brand does, what your business does. If you can find a way to connect it to an emotion, I think a lot of really good ones. The one that comes to mind is McDonald's, I'm loving it. That one is 3 words. It's very easily digestible. It's easy to remember. And it connects directly to what emotion that they want their customer to experience. If you have any questions, or if you have questions you want answered about your marketing, about your business, about personal growth, about Canva, go ahead and throw them in the comments below. I'm going to do this as often as I can and hopefully post about once a week with this format. If you have any questions, you can shoot them to me on social in the DMs. You can throw them in the comments below. If you're listening on audio version, don't forget to subscribe, and you can always follow me on social, on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. I'm pretty much on every platform. Just search _DY Bennett and you'll find me there. Thanks for listening.